Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I thought I'd go through something a little bit different. I thought I would show you all my apps that are on my iPhone. I'm going to break these down into two categories. It's either going to be for study and university or productivity, and I'll link timestamps in the description so you guys can skip ahead if you need. And also I've put links to all the apps in the description as well. I thought I'd go through these apps as I feel they help me to manage my time, organize my life, and also help me to remain productive. And a lot of the apps on this list I've chosen because they've changed my life or benefit me in some way, and I think that they'll provide a lot of value for you guys. So let's get into it. Alright, so let's just start with the phone. It's an iPhone 11 Pro 64 gig in space and I chose a smaller storage size as I generally store everything on the cloud or Google Drive. And I do generally stick to Apple as it syncs well with my other devices and creates a good workflow for me. The first app I'm going to go over is something called Notion. If you haven't heard of Notion, it's basically a virtual workspace which allows you to manage all your projects and everything you've got going on in your life. I use this every single day to organize my life and manage everything that I've got going on. So you can collaborate with people, take notes, write lists, and create a workspace and then tailor it to suit your personal needs. I use it instead of the Apple Notes app. It's got far more features and is a lot more customizable. I use it as a daily journal, checklists, reminders, and I track progress of my tasks and write lists for YouTube videos and things like that. The best part about Notion is, as well as a few of the other apps that I use, it offers cross-platform support for iOS and Windows. So whatever I do with Notion on my phone is automatically on my iPad and my computer. The next app is pretty standard. It's just my email client, Microsoft Outlook. Everyone knows what it is, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't want you guys seeing all my emails. Google Drive is another app which is integral to my life, as pretty much everything I own or have created is always stored on it. I use Google Drive almost every day to store my university notes, YouTube videos, documents, and it's useful at university when I share documents with my classmates, and it integrates well with any platform. Something else that I've found really useful in increasing my productivity this year has been listening to podcasts while I do other tasks. So the podcast client that I use is just the standard Apple Podcast app. I've seen people use Overcast or similar apps like that, but I haven't found any issues with the stock app, so I'll keep using it. If I scroll through here, you can see all the podcasts that I'm listening to. Not Overthinking and Gary Vee are some of the real popular ones. Joe Rogan Experience is pretty good, and Matt Diavela's The Ground Up Show is quite good for productivity as well. Now for an app similar to podcast, which has genuinely changed my life in the last year and a half, is called Audible. I'm sure you've all seen the ads about Audible on TV. Basically, it's an app that reads audiobooks to you. So I use it every time I'm driving, at the gym, doing housework, things like that. And I find it very useful as I can just sit, relax, absorb the information, and it's quite nice to have a book read to you. There is a monthly subscription fee which I do pay, but I find it really useful as you get one book free every month, and it's quite worth it in the long run because you're absorbing so much information. If you're thinking about trying Audible out, one of my recommendations would be Atomic Habits by James Clear. Very, very interesting book on how to build productive habits and stick to them. In terms of apps for university, these are the apps that I've selected that I find useful in my daily life, and they're useful for students, and they help me to learn and retain information and test myself, as well as organize my study documents and collaborate with classmates. The first app in my university section will be Quizlet. So if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, especially the How I Study in University video, I'll link it in the description up here. I talk about how I use Quizlet as a flashcard creating app. Basically, you can make your own classes, write your own flashcards, and then test yourself from your phone. The reason why I've chosen Quizlet, there are other apps such as Anki. I haven't really experimented with it much, so I generally stick to Quizlet, but it's very useful as anything you write on your iPad or your laptop in Quizlet is automatically on your phone. So you can test yourself on the train, on the bus, or just before an exam or test to make sure you've got a little more knowledge. Another reason why I find Quizlet valuable is that it has the ability to add people with your classes and have them collaborate with you. They can add questions, and it makes it feel a little bit more fun and enjoyable. Forrest is another app which I have talked about in my previous videos as well. Basically, I find when I study, especially on my laptop or at home, I can find myself straying off path and going to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, not really sticking on topic and not really being as productive as I can be. Forrest does prevent that to a degree. Forrest utilizes something called the Pomodoro method. If you don't know what that is, it's basically you allow yourself time to study and then time for a break in set sort of intervals, and it's been shown to help you retain information and retain concentration better, and you can hopefully avoid that slump that we can sometimes get whilst we study. Another benefit of Forrest is once you set the timer, you can't leave the app. It essentially locks your phone. So if you leave the app, the tree you plant dies, and that does motivate you to sort of stay on track. On top of this, Forrest does actually plant real trees. So every time you plant a tree on the app, you get coins, and once you earn 2,500, you can purchase a real tree and they'll plant it in Africa. So you're not just helping yourself, you're helping a community in Africa, and it gives you a little fuzzy feeling. Now, onto my favorite note-taking app, Notability. I'll be making a full video soon showing how I take notes on Notability using my iPad Pro, my highlighting method and note-taking method, but for now I'm just going to show you the mobile version. I only have this installed on my phone as it syncs with my iPad, so I get all my class notes and everything I've written on my iPad on my phone. I haven't synced it in a while, so there's no notes here, but there is one or two handwritten ones that I'll just quickly flick through. And I find it useful when I'm standing outside of an exam or just before a test. I can quickly go back through my notes if I don't have my iPad on me and be a little bit more prepared and make sure that I know things for the test. Scannable is another great app which I use frequently at uni. I'm trying to make the effort to go completely paperless as I feel, it's 2020, paper is pretty pointless and I don't want to be filing papers, carrying around files, things like that. It's not cool. So if I'm giving a handout in class like this piece of paper here, Scannable turns your phone into a virtual scanner. It will pick up the document and turn it into a PDF, which I then import into Notability or share with my friends or save to my Google Drive, and I can annotate it later, and I've already got the document on my digital devices. And lastly, we have all the standard Google apps, Google Docs, Sheets and Slides. I use these whenever I need to collaborate with someone in my class instead of using Word or PowerPoint, Excel, or when I'm offline and have no internet, as you can type anything on these documents and the second you connect back to the internet, it'll all be updated straight away. You can share documents, collaborate with other people, and I find it really useful during group sessions or assignments when we all need to have input into an assignment or a document. Alright guys, well that pretty much wraps up all the useful apps on my phone. I've got obviously the standard Netflix, Stan, etc. all installed, but no one really cares about any of that. Anyway, thanks for watching this video and listening to me ramble on about my iPhone. Hopefully it's given you some thoughts on apps you'd like to download. If you've got any interesting apps or anything that you found particularly useful, please comment down below as I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, cheers.